The company that runs the Tata Steel plant in Port Talbot has dismissed as unsubstantiated speculation fears that thousands and thousands of jobs could be at risk at the site. The firm is responding to comments made by the Aberavon MP Stephen Kinnock, who said reported plans to shut 2 blast furnaces and replace them with electric arc furnaces raised massive questions about the future of the steel industry. But Tata said that no decisions had been made. Nonetheless, the community union says it's seeking urgent clarification from the company. Well, we're joined now by the Labour MP for Aberavon, Stephen Kinnock. Mr. Kinnock, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
First things first, where did these reports come from?
Well, it was in the Sunday Times yesterday. I've actually never said that it's a definite decision by Tata Steel. I've made it very clear that I understand that this is a number of options that they've put forward. But what I was really very disappointed by, and as community union have also stated clearly, that when these vital proposals are being made that could potentially have a game-changing impact on the Port Talbot Steelworks, it seems really wrong that those proposals were tabled to the government without proper consultation and conversations with the workforce, and particularly when you see how the workforce has responded over the years to very, very challenging times for the steel industry. They have stood up, they've acted with professionalism, dedication, and the trade unions have been a model of constructive engagement with the employer. So we just found it very disappointing that this proposal has been sent to the UK government without proper consultation.
The unions aren't getting much change out of the company. Are you, as the local MP, getting any clarification to what they say is just speculation at this point?
Well, that's the problem when you are not really clear on what's been tabled and what hasn't, because the trade unions haven't been at the table and part of the conversation for those proposals. You do end up in a bit of a vacuum where it's not entirely clear what the situation is. But what we've always said through this is, if these reports are true, we've always couched it in those terms. If these reports are true, then the trade unions and steel MPs will stand shoulder to shoulder, and we will fight tooth and nail to ensure that blast furnace-based steel production remains at the heart of the Welsh and British steel industry. And a big part of that is that when you are making steel with a blast furnace, you've got far more flexibility in terms of the quality and the variety of the steel you can produce for the car industry, for example. And that variety and flexibility does not exist when you're using an electric arc furnace model, which is based on recycled steel. So we need to see how the company is proposing to keep that level of customer satisfaction through the steel that it produces on the basis of an electric arc furnace.
But doesn't it show, on the other hand, that the company is prepared to remain in South Wales and invest in steelmaking in South Wales if it wants to replace the older furnaces with these electric furnaces, even though it might mean more job losses down the line?
Well, the big challenge is to get a clear picture from Tata Steel in terms of how it would make that transition from a blast furnace model to an electric arc furnace model. And if that transition is going to lead to thousands of job losses and ultimately the inability of the company to produce the kind of steel that it needs to produce, for example, for the automotive industry, which is a massive part of the customer base of the Port Talbot Steelworks, then we need to see how that is going to work in practice without having a really destructive impact on the business, on the economy, and on our local community. And that's all we're asking for, is some clarity and transparency. And if this proposal has not been submitted by Tata Steel and the media reports are not correct, then we'll be the first to stand up and say, well, okay, then those media reports are not correct. But as things stand, we understand that that is a plan that has been submitted. It would have a game-changing impact on the industry, and we need to have a proper conversation between the government and the trade unions and Tata Steel. Otherwise, we're going to end up with this uncertainty and lack of clarity going forward.
There's certainly a lack of clarity, as you say, but ultimately, if this is what Tata Steel wants to do, and if this is the cost of keeping them in South Wales and them not walking away, then we have to entertain the idea that it might well happen.
Well, the other key point here is, of course, that the British government has failed the steel industry now for 10 years. I mean, we've got energy costs which are massively more than our French and German competitors. We've got a lack of a strategy in terms of procurement of steel in big government projects. We've got business rates which punish investment in new plant and machinery. So if we had a level playing field to compete on with a proper government industrial strategy to support the steel industry, we wouldn't be in this very difficult position we've been in for several years now. And in fact, even if you move to an electric arc furnace model, you've still got huge energy costs. So what is the British government going to do to secure a viable future for the steel industry on the basis of either blast furnace technology or electric arc furnace technology? If you don't get the basic foundations right to make the industry competitive, it doesn't matter how you do the primary steel making, you're still going to have an uncompetitive industry.
Labour MP for Aberavon, Stephen Kinnock, thanks for joining us this afternoon on BBC Radio Wales.